In the grim darkness of the far future, where the stars themselves tremble beneath the weight of unending conflict, one truth remains constant. War is eternal. Across the galaxy of the 40k universe, empires rise and fall, ancient horrors awaken, and entire species wage battles that can last centuries. Among these chaotic clashes, few figures rise to legend, fewer still from among the orcs, a race defined by their boundless aggression and insatiable hunger for combat. Yet, even among the brutal greenskins, one name roars above the din of countless wars: Tuska Daemon-Killa. The story of Tuska is not one of mere survival or conquest. It is a tale of obsession, reckless ambition, and an unquenchable thirst for battle. His name is etched into the annals of orc lore, a saga recounted by greenskin tribes across the galaxy as they bellow war cries and charge into certain doom. To the orcs, Tuska embodies the ultimate expression of their philosophy, that life itself is a battlefield, and the highest form of existence is endless war. But what sets Tuska apart? His tale is not one of ordinary wars, the massive orc invasions driven by an unstoppable tide of greenskin warriors. No, Tuska's journey defies even orc standards. It takes us beyond the realm of traditional battles between Xenos, the Imperium, and Chaos, plunging deep into the Immaterium itself, the volatile, nightmarish warp that defies the laws of reality. Here, in this dimension of living madness, Tuska's legend truly begins. For those unfamiliar with the orcs, understanding Tuska's legend requires a glimpse into their psyche. To orcs, war is not a means to an end, but the end itself. They do not fight for wealth, territory, or survival. They fight because they were born to fight. Violence is their culture, their religion, and their reason for being. Tuska, however, took this belief to its most extreme conclusion, setting a precedent even among his kind. As we begin to explore his story, consider this. What drives a creature already born for war to push the boundaries of battle itself? What compels someone to confront chaos not out of necessity, but out of sheer determination to find the ultimate fight? These questions sit at the heart of Tuska's tale, a saga that challenges the very nature of orcdom and their place in the galaxy. This is the story of Tuska Daemon-Killa, the orc who sought the fight of his life, and in doing so, achieved a kind of immortality that transcends even the bounds of death. Before we dive deeper into the forces and figures that shaped his journey, let us set aside what we think we know about orcs. Tuska's path will shatter expectations and illuminate the madness that lies at the heart of the 40k galaxy. Brace yourself, for this is no ordinary tale. This is the saga of a greenskin who dared to defy not just his enemies, but the very fabric of reality in pursuit of a fight that would never end. This is the legend of Tuska Daemon-Killa. In the sprawling galaxy of the 40k universe, where countless factions and beings vie for supremacy, Tuska Daemon-Killa's tale brings together a diverse cast of participants, each with a distinct role in shaping his journey. These figures and groups, whether allies or adversaries, form the intricate web of chaos and destruction through which Tuska carved his legend. At the center of this story are the orcs, a race infamous for their brutish nature, boundless aggression, and insatiable desire for combat. Within this larger mass of greenskins, Tuska himself emerges as a figure of singular focus and unparalleled determination. Known among his kind for his obsession with seeking greater and more dangerous opponents, Tuska commands a warband that mirrors his own ferocity. His warriors, driven by their leader's zeal, embody the orc philosophy of war as life. They are not mere soldiers, but a tide of destruction, ready to follow Tuska into the most perilous of battles, even if it means venturing into the unknown. Opposing Tuska and his warband are the demons of the warp. These entities, born from the Immaterium, exist as manifestations of the chaotic emotions and psychic energies of the galaxy's inhabitants. Demons are not physical beings in the conventional sense. They are creatures of raw power, bound to the will of the Chaos Gods who shape the warp. Among the many horrors of the Immaterium, the demons Tuska confronts are particularly vicious, driven by the primal desire to feed on the essence of those who dare to challenge them. These creatures play a pivotal role in Tuska's journey, as their presence within the Immaterium represents the ultimate test for the Orc warlord and his followers. At the heart of the demon's power lie the Chaos Gods themselves. These four deities, Khorne, Tzeentch, Nurgle, and Slaanesh, rule over distinct domains within the warp, each reflecting an aspect of mortal emotion and ambition. While not all of these entities are directly involved in Tuska's story, one stands out as a central figure. Khorne, the god of war, bloodshed, and martial prowess. For Khorne, violence is both a means and an end, and his realm within the warp is a reflection of his eternal hunger for battle. Tuska's relentless pursuit of combat aligns him in a way with Khorne's ideals, even as it places him in opposition to the demons who serve the Chaos Gods. Beyond the demons and the orcs, the Immaterium itself plays a silent yet omnipresent role in the events that unfold. As a dimension of pure psychic energy, the warp is both a battleground and an antagonist, a place where the very fabric of reality twists and bends to the will of the Chaos Gods. For Tuska and his warband, venturing into the warp represents more than a physical journey. It is a descent into madness and danger, where the rules of existence are constantly in flux. The Immaterium's chaotic nature ensures that no battle fought within its depths is predictable, amplifying the stakes of Tuska's campaign. Adding to the complexity of the situation are the forces of the material universe. Though their role is tangential in Tuska's story, the galaxy outside the warp is filled with factions that indirectly influence the events that unfold. These include the Imperium of Man, with its vast armies and bureaucratic machinations, and other xeno-species, each driven by their own motivations and conflicts. While they do not play a direct role in Tuska's confrontation with the demons, their presence looms in the background, a reminder of the broader context within which the orcs and the warp exist. Finally, there are the warband's countless followers, greenskins who share Tuska's love of battle but lack his singular vision. These orcs provide the raw numbers and unyielding ferocity that make Tuska's ventures possible. Their role is not merely to support their leader, but to embody the sheer destructive force of orcdom, overwhelming any opponent with their relentless assaults. These warriors, from the smallest Gretchen to the largest Knobs, are the backbone of Tuska's efforts, driven by the same primal need for violence that defines their race. Together, these players form the intricate tapestry of Tuska's saga. Each, in their own way, contributes to the unfolding events, whether as allies, enemies, or forces of nature shaping the battlefield. As the story progresses, their roles will become clearer, their actions and motivations driving the narrative forward into the heart of chaos and conflict. This diverse cast ensures that Tuska's journey is not just a tale of one orc's ambition, but a saga shaped by the interplay of countless forces in the unforgiving galaxy of the 40k universe. The events leading to the legend of Tuska Daemon-Killa were set in motion long before his infamous journey into the warp. To understand the origins of this tale, one must consider the natural tendencies of the orcs as a species, the circumstances that pushed Tuska and his warband into the spotlight, and the chaotic state of the galaxy itself during this period. Orcs, by their very nature, thrive on conflict. From the moment they are spawned, their entire existence revolves around fighting. This biological imperative is hardwired into their genetic makeup, a result of their ancient origins as a species engineered for war. Orcs are drawn to combat like moths to a flame, their need for violence growing stronger the more battles they survive. Over time, their constant hunger for war has shaped their culture, society, and even their technology, which, despite its crude appearance, functions almost as if powered by their collective will. In this context, Tuska's rise is emblematic of the orc ideal, an individual who sought bigger and more dangerous fights, reflecting the endless cycle of war that defines orc existence. The galaxy at large also played a significant role in shaping the events that would lead to Tuska's journey. During this era, the galaxy was a maelstrom of conflict, with countless wars raging across its vast expanse. The Imperium of Man, the dominant force in the galaxy, was locked in a seemingly eternal struggle for survival against xeno-species, chaos incursions, and internal rebellion. These wars created a fertile ground for orcs to thrive, as the destruction and chaos they left in their wake provided ample opportunities for new battles to erupt. Orc warbands, large and small, roamed the galaxy, seeking targets to plunder and foes to fight. Amid this chaos, Tuska's warband began to distinguish itself through its sheer ferocity and audacity, carving a path through numerous conflicts. What set the stage for the events to come was not only the galaxy's natural state of unrest, but also the inherent unpredictability of orcs. Unlike other species, orcs do not follow rigid plans or strategies. Their actions are often driven by instinct, opportunity, and a primal need for destruction. This randomness can lead to unexpected outcomes as warbands veer off course or pursue unlikely objectives in their relentless search for combat. For Tuska and his followers, this chaotic approach to warfare created the conditions necessary for their eventual encounter with the warp. At the same time, the immaterium, the psychic dimension that mirrors the material universe, was in constant flux. The warp is a realm of infinite possibilities, where the emotions and thoughts of sentient beings take form and give rise to its ever-shifting nature. It is also the domain of chaos, a force that thrives on the turmoil of the galaxy. As wars raged and the warp roiled with the psychic echoes of countless conflicts, the boundaries between these two realms grew increasingly thin. This volatility would prove instrumental in shaping the events that followed, as Tuska's warband would soon find itself drawn to the edge of this nightmarish dimension. Within the orc mindset, stories of great battles spread like wildfire, inspiring other warbands to seek their own legends. Among Tuska's followers, tales of battles against impossible odds fueled their eagerness for greater challenges. The orc belief in destiny, combined with their sheer stubbornness, drove them to pursue increasingly dangerous foes, culminating in their desire to confront the demonic forces of the warp. The immaterium, with its endless supply of unpredictable and violent entities, represented the ultimate battlefield for an orc warlord seeking glory. Another factor that contributed to these events was the inherent draw of chaos itself. The warp, while dangerous, is also seductive in its allure, promising power, destruction, and challenges unlike anything found in the material realm. While orcs are typically resistant to the corrupting influence of chaos, their innate love of violence makes them uniquely suited to confront the warp's dangers head-on. For Tuska, the warp was not a place to fear, but an irresistible beacon of war, a challenge that could not be ignored. These circumstances, orc nature, the state of the galaxy, the instability of the warp, and the lure of chaos, intersected to create the perfect storm that would propel Tuska and his warband into the annals of legend. While no single event can be pinpointed as the direct cause of their journey, the combination of these factors laid the groundwork for what was to come. It was a convergence of chaos, ambition, and opportunity, a moment in history where the unrelenting drive of the orcs collided with the boundless unpredictability of the 40k universe. Thus, the path to Tuska's infamous quest began not with a grand design or a singular event, but with the culmination of countless battles, a relentless drive for greater challenges, and the unpredictable forces that define life in the grim darkness of the far future. What followed would etch Tuska's name into legend, but it is these underlying factors that shaped the circumstances, ensuring that his story would be anything but ordinary. The story of Tuska Daemon-Killa unfolds as a series of escalating events, each more chaotic and brutal than the last, charting a path from the material galaxy into the depths of the immaterium. It begins, as so many orc stories do, with an overwhelming urge to fight. Tuska's warband, driven by his insatiable thirst for greater and more dangerous foes, scoured the stars in search of the ultimate challenge. Their journey, marked by a string of violent clashes, would eventually lead them into uncharted territory where no orc had dared venture before. The first significant step in Tuska's campaign was his decision to direct his warband beyond conventional targets. Rather than focusing on battles against other Xeno species or even the Imperium of man, Tuska sought adversaries that would test his limits. As the warband rampaged across the galaxy, they encountered rumors and fragmented reports of demonic incursions, battles fought not against flesh and blood, but against entities born of the warp itself. These tales ignited Tuska's imagination, as the promise of facing such opponents seemed to embody the ultimate expression of orc culture, unending and unmatched warfare. The warband's march through the galaxy was a bloody spectacle, marked by destruction on an unprecedented scale. Tuska's forces, undeterred by the resistance they faced, annihilated every foe that dared stand in their way. Planets fell one after another, their defenders crushed beneath the unrelenting tide of greenskins. With each victory, Tuska's legend grew, and so did his hunger for a more dangerous foe. The warband's momentum became unstoppable, fueled by Tuska's singular vision of finding an opponent worthy of their strength. Eventually, their path brought them to a system on the edge of known space, where the boundaries between reality and the warp had grown dangerously thin. Here, in the shadow of swirling warp storms, the warband encountered their first true taste of chaos. The skies above the battlefields twisted and burned with unnatural hues as demonic forces spilled into the material realm. For most inhabitants of the galaxy, the sight of such horrors would inspire terror. For Tuska and his followers, it was nothing less than a call to arms. The clash that followed was unlike anything the warband had faced before. The demons, immune to conventional logic and operating with powers beyond mortal comprehension, tore through the ranks of the orcs with devastating ferocity. Yet, for every green skin that fell, two more surged forward, their excitement growing with each swing of their weapons. The demons' attacks, which could melt steel and shatter minds, were met with the crude but effective brutality of orc weaponry, fueled by their collective will to fight. The battle raged on for days, and though the losses on both sides were staggering, Tuska's warband eventually prevailed, their sheer determination overwhelming the demonic defenders. This victory marked a turning point in the warband's campaign, as it proved to Tuska that the warp itself was the ultimate battlefield. The demons they had defeated were but the first of many, and Tuska resolved to plunge deeper into the immaterium to find even greater foes. The orcs, emboldened by their leader's vision, followed without hesitation, their battle cries echoing across the ruins of the battlefield. From this point onward, Tuska's journey took on an almost mythic quality. The warband's path led them into the heart of the warp, where the rules of reality no longer applied. Time and space twisted around them, and the orcs faced challenges unlike anything they had encountered before. Entire armies of demons descended upon them, each more monstrous and powerful than the last. Yet, no matter how dire the odds, Tuska's warband fought on, their numbers replenished as more greenskins flocked to join the legendary Wah. The Immaterium itself seemed to react to Tuska's presence, shaping the battlefield in unpredictable ways. Landscapes shifted and reformed, and the warband found themselves battling atop floating islands, within endless mazes and amid seas of fire. Each encounter tested the limits of their endurance, but it also fueled their desire for even greater challenges. For Tuska, this was more than a war. It was a personal crusade, a relentless pursuit of the perfect fight that would define his legacy. As the campaign progressed, the orcs began to develop a strange familiarity with the chaotic nature of the warp. Their innate resilience to its corrupting influence, combined with their simplistic view of reality, allowed them to adapt to the ever-changing environment. Tuska himself seemed to thrive in this chaotic realm, his strength and determination growing with each battle. The demons, despite their immense power, found themselves facing an opponent who not only refused to back down, but seemed to relish every moment of the conflict. The warband's journey reached its peak when they came face to face with the legions of Khorne, the chaos god of war and bloodshed. This encounter, unlike the skirmishes that had come before, would define the final stage of Tuska's campaign. The orcs, undeterred by the sheer scale of their opposition, charged headlong into battle, their war cries echoing through the immaterium. For Tuska, this was the moment he had been waiting for, the ultimate fight that would cement his place in orc history. This series of escalating battles and increasingly dangerous confrontations formed the backbone of Tuska's saga, a relentless march into the heart of chaos and destruction. Each step brought them closer to their goal, and each victory added to their growing legend. In the end, Tuska's journey was not just a tale of war, but a testament to the unyielding spirit of the orcs, a species for whom battle is both purpose and destiny. The events that unfolded along the way would resonate through the ages, immortalizing Tuska Daemon-Killa as one of the greatest orcs to ever live. Amid the relentless chaos of Tuska's campaign, the warlord and his forces reached a pivotal moment that would define not just their journey, but the very essence of their legend. Tuska's unyielding drive for the ultimate fight brought him to a battlefield unlike any other, a domain where his obsession with war and violence intersected with the unrelenting fury of the warp. It was here that a single decision, fueled by the core of his orc nature, changed everything. The crucial turning point came after Tuska and his warband achieved a string of victories against minor demonic entities. These battles, while fierce and exhilarating, only served to stoke Tuska's hunger for greater challenges. His belief that the Immaterium held the ultimate opponents became an obsession, one that overshadowed even the destruction of the physical worlds they had left in ruins. But the key decision that set this moment apart was not merely a choice to fight, but an act of sheer audacity, an intentional act of defiance against the very fabric of reality itself. Tuska, upon realizing that these minor skirmishes were only a prelude to something far more significant, made the fateful decision to challenge the forces of Khorne directly. Unlike other orcs, who might have sought a way to return to material space or turn their attention to another target, Tuska resolved to dig deeper into the chaotic depths of the warp. His desire was no longer just to fight, but to find the strongest, most unrelenting foes the Immaterium could offer and face them head-on. This decision marked a radical shift in the warband's trajectory. It was no longer about opportunistic conflict or accidental battles. Tuska's goal became singular and focused, to confront Khorne's demonic legions in their own domain, where the god of war and bloodshed held absolute power. For an orc, this act was the ultimate declaration of purpose, a bold statement that their thirst for battle transcended even the fearsome reputation of chaos. What made this moment so transformative was the method by which Tuska chose to escalate the conflict. Instead of waiting for another demonic incursion or skirmish, he orchestrated a deliberate ritual of violence, a brutal demonstration designed to draw the attention of Khorne's followers. The warband, under Tuska's leadership, unleashed their might on a nearby demonic stronghold, leaving behind a trail of devastation that echoed through the Immaterium. The intensity of their assault, combined with the sheer carnage they left in their wake, was impossible to ignore. Tuska's actions effectively issued a challenge, a direct call to the blood-soaked followers of Khorne to face him. The demonic response was swift and overwhelming. Khorne's forces, drawn to the carnage like moths to a flame, descended upon Tuska's warband in numbers that dwarfed anything they had encountered before. This was not merely a battle, but an event of cosmic significance, a clash that would determine whether Tuska's audacity was a mark of strength or folly. The Immaterium itself seemed to react to the confrontation, its chaotic energies intensifying as the forces of the warp converged on the battlefield. This moment, more than any other, cemented Tuska's legacy. It was a declaration of defiance not just against the demons he sought to challenge, but against the very nature of the galaxy. Tuska's warband, now fully committed to their leader's vision, followed without hesitation, their cries of battle mingling with the roars of their demonic adversaries. The decision to challenge Khorne directly was a gamble of the highest stakes, one that would forever define their place in Orc history. For Tuska, this act was more than just a tactical maneuver. It was a reflection of his identity as a warlord. To an Orc, the measure of greatness lies not in survival or conquest, but in the scale of the battles fought and the enemies faced. Tuska's choice to provoke Khorne's forces was the ultimate fulfillment of this ideal, a moment that transcended mere strategy and became a statement of purpose. It was an act that no other Orc had dared attempt, and one that ensured Tuska's name would be remembered for generations to come. This pivotal decision transformed Tuska's campaign from a series of brutal battles into something far greater, a saga of defiance, determination, and unrelenting violence that would resonate throughout the 40k universe. The warband's journey was no longer about survival or victory. It was about proving, once and for all, that the Orc way of life could stand against even the most terrifying forces in existence. And for Tuska, there was no turning back. The events surrounding Tuska Daemon-Killa and his descent into the Immaterium left a mark on the galaxy that rippled far beyond the confines of his warband. Though the Orcs themselves view the exploits of Tuska as a legendary tale of their kind, the broader consequences of his actions carried implications for multiple factions and the delicate balance of power within the universe of 40k. First and foremost, Tuska's campaign served to intensify the chaotic instability in the regions surrounding his entry into the warp. His actions along the fringes of the Immaterium weakened the barriers between the material realm and the warp itself, creating localized warp storms that disrupted Imperial trade routes and communications. These storms, unpredictable and often violent, posed serious threats to nearby star systems, making navigation nearly impossible. For the Imperium, this created an additional layer of strain on their already overextended resources, as entire fleets were forced to divert to avoid the growing turbulence in the warp. The demonic incursions triggered by Tuska's actions also had broader repercussions. By provoking Khorne's forces into an escalating cycle of violence, Tuska inadvertently increased the strength and influence of the Chaos God of bloodshed. Every battle fought within the Immaterium fed Khorne's domain, amplifying the presence of his demonic legions and giving them a foothold in regions of the warp where they had previously been weaker. This surge of power allowed Khorne's followers to launch fresh assaults on other warp entities and material factions alike, further destabilizing the already fragile equilibrium within the Immaterium. For the Orcs, the tale of Tuska became a rallying cry, inspiring countless warbands across the galaxy. His story, told and retold with embellishments unique to Orc culture, spurred many greenskins to seek their own paths to glory. These Orcs, driven by Tuska's example, began launching increasingly reckless and destructive campaigns, seeking out opponents and challenges that mirrored the legendary warlord's exploits. In some regions, this led to a dramatic rise in Orc activity, as warbands coalesced into larger whack, fueled by tales of Tuska's unrelenting pursuit of the ultimate fight. The Imperium of Man, already grappling with threats on countless fronts, found itself facing new challenges as Orc warbands, emboldened by Tuska's story, pushed deeper into human territory. These greenskins, inspired by the notion that death in battle was the ultimate honor, fought with a ferocity and determination that strained even the most hardened Imperial defenders. Entire regiments of the Astra Militarum were deployed to counter these Orc incursions, diverting resources and manpower from other critical conflicts. Meanwhile, whispers of Tuska's deeds began to circulate among the Imperium's intelligence networks, leading some within the Inquisition to speculate on the broader implications of his actions and their potential connection to chaos. Among the followers of chaos, Tuska's actions served as both a challenge and a provocation. To many daemons, his unrelenting assault on Khorne's forces was a direct affront, a demonstration that even the forces of chaos could be defied by the sheer will and brutality of the orcs. This perception fueled rivalries within the Immaterium, as other factions sought to capitalize on the chaos created by Tuska's campaign. At the same time, some demons saw his actions as a unique opportunity, a chance to manipulate orcs into further destabilizing the galaxy. These conflicting interpretations of Tuska's actions led to a period of heightened tension and intrigue within the Warp, as demonic entities jockeyed for power in the wake of his exploits. The broader galactic ecosystem, already fragile due to constant warfare, also felt the indirect effects of Tuska's campaign. Xenospecies such as the Tau and Eldar, though not directly involved in Tuska's actions, found themselves dealing with the fallout of increased orc aggression in their regions of space. For the Eldar in particular, the emergence of warp storms and heightened demonic activity threatened their already precarious existence, forcing them to reevaluate their strategies and alliances in the face of this growing instability. On a more symbolic level, Tuska's story underscored the chaotic and unpredictable nature of the 40k universe. His decision to confront the forces of chaos in their own realm and the resulting consequences highlighted the extent to which individual actors, even those as seemingly unstructured and impulsive as an orc warlord, could reshape the galaxy in unforeseen ways. Tuska's campaign became a stark reminder that even in a universe defined by grand empires and ancient powers, the actions of a single force driven by pure determination and violence could ripple across space and time. The immediate aftermath of Tuska's actions may have been most acutely felt in the regions directly impacted by his campaign, but the broader implications reached far beyond. His tale not only reshaped the perception of orcs among other factions, but also left a lasting imprint on the balance of power within the Immaterium and the material universe alike. For a galaxy already teetering on the edge of destruction, Tuska's legend served as yet another example of the ever-present chaos that defines life in the far future. One of the most captivating aspects of Tuska Daemon-Killa's saga lies in the unique way his story highlights the orc approach to warfare and their unparalleled ability to thrive in chaos. Tuska's journey into the Immaterium, a realm that defies the logic of the material universe, is a testament to the orcs' adaptability, resilience, and sheer stubbornness. It is this paradoxical relationship between the orcs and the warp that has become a frequent topic of discussion among fans of the 40k universe, as it raises questions about the very nature of orcs and their place in the grander galactic tapestry. The orcs' inherent resistance to the corrupting influence of chaos is a key point of fascination in Tuska's tale. While many other species are drawn into the Immaterium only to succumb to its maddening energies or become pawns of the chaos gods, orcs possess an unusual immunity. This is largely attributed to their simplistic and single-minded nature. Orcs do not dwell on existential questions, moral dilemmas, or fears of mortality. They exist solely to fight, and this unwavering focus acts as a shield against the seductive whispers of the warp. Tuska's warband is a perfect example of this phenomenon. Even as they ventured deeper into the Immaterium and encountered horrors that would have shattered the minds of most beings, the orcs remained unshaken, their focus on battle unrelenting. Fans often discuss how this resistance manifests in Tuska's campaign, particularly in his interactions with the forces of chaos. Unlike other factions which approach the warp with trepidation or reverence, the orcs enter the realm with the same straightforward mentality they apply to all things. To them, the demons of the warp are not cosmic horrors, but just another type of enemy to smash. This mindset creates a fascinating dynamic in Tuska's battles, as the demons, beings of raw psychic energy and complexity, are met with crude yet effective orc tactics. The orc's ability to reduce the incomprehensible to something as simple as a good fight is both their greatest strength and the source of much of their humor and charm. Another unique aspect of Tuska's story is the role of orc technology, or mech boy ingenuity, in his journey. Orc machinery operates on a blend of physical engineering and collective belief. While their contraptions often appear haphazard and nonsensical, they function because orcs believe they will. This quirk is especially significant in the context of Tuska's campaign, as his warband relied on their ramshackle warships and weapons to traverse the Immaterium and engage in battles against demonic foes. Fans often speculate about the specific devices and vehicles Tuska's mech boys might have cobbled together for these encounters, imagining everything from warp-powered battle wagons to teleporter arrays that defy all known physics. Tuska's eventual fate, becoming a perpetual combatant in Khorne's domain, adds yet another layer of intrigue to his legend. Unlike most who fall into the hands of the Chaos Gods, Tuska's story is not one of subjugation or corruption, but of mutual satisfaction. Khorne, as the god of war and bloodshed, views Tuska's unending hunger for combat as a fitting tribute, granting him and his warband the eternal battle they so desperately sought. This unique relationship between an orc warlord and a chaos god has sparked countless debates among fans. Some argue that Tuska's fate represents the ultimate orc victory, as he achieved his dream of endless war on his own terms. Others see it as a cautionary tale, a reminder of the dangers of pushing too far into the unknown, even for a race as fearless as the orcs. The concept of Tuska's whack persisting within the warp also raises fascinating questions about the nature of orc consciousness and the influence of their collective belief. Orc society is driven by a gestalt psychic field that reinforces their reality. Things work for orcs because they collectively believe they will. In the Immaterium, a realm shaped by thought and emotion, this effect becomes even more pronounced. Fans often theorize that Tuska's warband, through sheer belief in their cause, might have altered the very fabric of Khorne's domain, creating a battlefield that aligns with their vision of endless war. This idea has inspired stories and artwork that imagine what such a battleground might look like, an ever-shifting landscape of rust, blood, and fire, filled with unending combatants. Another point of discussion is how Tuska's legend influences other orc warbands in the material galaxy. The story of his exploits serves as both inspiration and challenge, encouraging other orcs to seek out their own paths to glory. This has led to the emergence of smaller-scale Wag, attempting to replicate Tuska's journey, some even seeking to breach the boundaries of the warp themselves. While most of these efforts end in failure, the mere fact that orcs are willing to pursue such extreme measures speaks to the power of Tuska's legacy within their culture. Finally, the symbolic implications of Tuska's story are often explored by fans as a reflection of the orc philosophy and the broader themes of the 40k universe. Tuska's journey into the Immaterium and his eventual fate demonstrate the cyclical nature of war in the galaxy, a never-ending struggle where even victory leads to more battles. For the orcs, this is not a tragedy but a celebration of their purpose. Tuska's legend captures this paradox perfectly, serving as a reminder of the unbreakable spirit of the orcs and their ability to thrive in even the most hostile environments. Tuska Daemon-Killa's story, with its blend of humor, brutality, and cosmic scale, continues to captivate fans of 40k, offering a unique perspective on the nature of orcs and their place in a galaxy defined by unending conflict. His tale stands as a testament to the boundless creativity and depth of the setting, sparking discussions and inspiring interpretations that enrich the broader narrative of the universe. Tuska Daemon-Killa himself stands at the heart of his legendary tale, not merely as a warlord, but as a figure who exemplifies the orc ideal in its purest form. His personality, motivations, strengths, and flaws paint a vivid picture of what made him both a unique individual and an embodiment of his kind. Tuska's obsession with seeking the ultimate fight was not born out of ambition for conquest or power. It was a singular driving purpose that shaped every decision he made. His strength lay in this unwavering focus, which gave him the ability to inspire his warband and push them into battles that would have broken less disciplined or motivated groups. Tuska's greatest strength was his relentless determination. For him, no enemy was too powerful, no battlefield too dangerous. This single-minded drive allowed him to face overwhelming odds without hesitation. His charisma as a leader, though unconventional, drew orcs to his banner, many of whom were willing to abandon safer and more predictable Wah to follow him into the unknown. Tuska's leadership was not rooted in strategy or careful planning. Instead, it was his ability to embody the orc desire for combat and chaos so completely that others saw him as the ultimate representation of what it meant to be an orc. However, this same determination was also a weakness. Tuska's obsessive focus on finding the greatest challenge meant that he often ignored opportunities to consolidate his victories or consider the long-term consequences of his actions. His fixation on the pursuit of demons and his ultimate confrontation with Khorne's forces could be seen as reckless, even by orc standards. Where other warlords might have used their successes to expand their influence or strengthen their forces, Tuska viewed every victory as merely a step toward an even greater fight. This tunnel vision sometimes put his warband in precarious situations, forcing them to adapt quickly or risk annihilation. Among Tuska's followers, certain individuals stood out as key contributors to his legendary journey. Chief among them were his most trusted nobs, who served as both enforcers of his will and leaders in their own right. These nobs shared Tuska's unrelenting thirst for battle, though each brought their own unique qualities to the warband. Some were renowned for their sheer physical strength, capable of taking on multiple enemies at once and emerging victorious. Others were notable for their cunning, using crude but effective tactics to ensure the warband's survival in the most hostile environments. One of the most intriguing figures among Tuska's ranks was his personal mech boy, a genius of orc engineering who played a critical role in enabling the warband's journey into the warp. This mech boy, whose name has been lost to time, was responsible for creating the ramshackle but highly effective devices that allowed Tuska and his forces to navigate the Immaterium. Despite the chaotic and unpredictable nature of orc technology, the mech boy's inventions worked precisely when needed, a testament to the orc phenomenon where belief can shape reality. His ingenuity was matched only by his reckless enthusiasm for experimentation, often resulting in explosive failures that added an extra layer of chaos to the warband's operations. While many of his creations were short-lived, their impact on the warband's ability to survive and thrive in the warp cannot be overstated. Another figure of note was Tuska's personal Weird Boy, a psychic conduit whose powers were amplified to dangerous levels within the warp. This Weird Boy, though often teetering on the edge of insanity, was instrumental in harnessing the latent energies of the Immaterium to protect the warband from the worst of its dangers. His presence was a double-edged sword, as the volatile nature of his powers sometimes resulted in catastrophic bursts of energy that were as likely to harm his allies as his enemies. Nonetheless, his ability to channel the chaotic energies of the warp made him an invaluable asset in the warband's battles against demons and other warp-born horrors. Perhaps the most fascinating aspect of Tuska's inner circle was the dynamic between these individuals and their leader. Tuska's charisma and larger-than-life presence ensured that his followers were fiercely loyal, but his single-minded pursuit of battle often put them at odds with their own survival instincts. The nobs, mech boy, and weird boy who surrounded Tuska were not mindless followers. Each had their own ambitions and motivations, though these were ultimately subsumed by their leader's vision. This interplay of personalities created a warband that was both cohesive and volatile, capable of incredible feats of destruction, but always on the brink of chaos. The demonic opponents Tuska encountered also played a role in defining his legend. While not individuals in the traditional sense, the demons of Khorne, with their unrelenting bloodlust and martial prowess, served as both adversaries and reflections of Tuska's own ideals. These entities, manifestations of pure violence, provided the ultimate test for Tuska and his warband. Their strength and ferocity were unmatched, forcing Tuska to push himself and his followers to their limits. The battles against these demons were not merely clashes of physical strength, but contests of will, as Tuska sought to prove that even the most fearsome creations of chaos could not match the raw determination of the orcs. Each of these figures and forces contributed to the larger-than-life narrative of Tuska Daemon-Killa. Together, they formed a tapestry of personalities and motivations that elevated Tuska's story beyond a simple tale of orc brutality. It became a saga of unrelenting ambition, resilience, and the pursuit of glory, driven by individuals whose unique qualities and contributions ensured that their legend would endure for generations to come. The tale of Tuska Daemon-Killa is shrouded in as much speculation as it is in blood and battle, leaving behind a host of unanswered questions and theories that continue to captivate fans of the 40k universe. These unresolved mysteries contribute to the mythos surrounding Tuska, offering endless opportunities for debate and interpretation. While his saga is legendary, it is also rife with gaps and ambiguities that fuel speculation about the deeper implications of his journey. One of the most debated questions is the exact nature of Tuska's fate within Khorne's domain. While it is widely accepted that he and his warband were granted eternal battle by the Chaos God, the specifics of this arrangement remain unclear. Did Tuska willingly submit to Khorne's will, or is he simply a pawn in the god's eternal game? Some theories suggest that Tuska may have achieved a unique form of agency within Khorne's realm, defying the usual dynamics of servitude that characterize most interactions with chaos. This idea is supported by the fact that Tuska's actions appear to align with Khorne's ideals not through coercion, but by the orc's own volition, raising the question of whether Tuska represents a rare example of mutual respect between a mortal and a chaos god. Another point of contention revolves around the true extent of Tuska's influence on the Immaterium. The orc's collective psychic field, known as the Wag, is known to shape reality in subtle and not-so-subtle ways. Within the warp, a realm defined by thought and emotion, it is possible that the sheer belief and determination of Tuska's warband created a unique microcosm, a battlefield that exists purely to sustain their eternal conflict. Some fans theorize that this phenomenon may have inadvertently created a stable region within Khorne's domain, one that exists as a direct extension of Tuska's will. If true, this would mark an unprecedented interaction between orc psychic power and the fabric of the warp, with implications that extend far beyond Tuska's story. The role of Khorne himself in Tuska's saga is another area of speculation. While Khorne is a god who thrives on violence and bloodshed, his decision to grant Tuska eternal battle suggests a level of recognition that is rarely extended to mortal beings. Did Khorne view Tuska as an equal in some sense, or was this simply a means of ensuring a constant source of bloodletting within his realm? Some theories propose that Khorne may have seen Tuska's unyielding determination as a reflection of his own essence, making the orc warlord an ideal instrument of his will. Others argue that Khorne's actions were purely pragmatic, a way to harness the orc's endless energy for his own purposes. Another unresolved question lies in the nature of Tuska's warband and their evolution within the warp. Orcs are known to adapt rapidly to their surroundings, and it is possible that prolonged exposure to the Immaterium has fundamentally changed them. Fans have speculated that Tuska's followers may have developed unique traits or abilities as a result of their time in Khorne's domain, becoming something more, or less, than orcs as they are known in the material universe. Are these orcs still the same crude, battle-hungry creatures they were when they first entered the warp? Or has their eternal conflict reshaped them into something entirely new? This question extends to the mech boys and weird boys within Tuska's ranks, whose roles in sustaining the warband's operations in such an alien environment remain a subject of fascination. The question of whether Tuska's legend could inspire other orcs to replicate his journey is also a hotly debated topic. While it is clear that his story has become a rallying cry for greenskins across the galaxy, it remains uncertain whether any warband could realistically follow in his footsteps. The conditions that allowed Tuska to breach the Immaterium and confront Khorne's forces were unique, a perfect storm of opportunity and audacity. Nonetheless, the idea of other Orc warlords attempting to emulate Tuska's exploits has fueled countless theories about the potential for further Orc incursions into the warp. Could such attempts create new legends, or would they simply end in catastrophic failure? The broader implications of Tuska's actions for the Orc species as a whole also remain an open question. Orcs are notoriously difficult to unify under a single banner, yet Tuska's story has resonated across countless warbands, transcending the usual fragmentation of Orc society. Does this suggest that Tuska's legacy has the potential to influence Orc culture on a larger scale? Some theorists argue that Tuska's tale represents a shift in Orc philosophy, a move toward greater ambition and purpose beyond the immediate gratification of battle. Others see it as a reminder of the inherent chaos and unpredictability of Orc behavior, a one-off event that defies any broader interpretation. Finally, there is the tantalizing possibility that Tuska's saga is not yet over. While his story is widely regarded as a closed chapter, the nature of the 40k universe leaves room for surprises. Could Tuska, through some twist of fate, find a way to re-enter the material universe? If so, what would his return mean for the galaxy? Some fans speculate that Tuska's unending conflict within Khorne's domain might one day lead to an event so catastrophic that it spills into real space, unleashing his warband in a way that reshapes the balance of power in the galaxy. These unanswered questions and theories surrounding Tuska Daemon-Killa elevate his story beyond a simple tale of Orc brutality, transforming it into a rich and complex narrative that invites endless exploration. His legend, marked by both triumph and mystery, continues to spark the imagination of fans, ensuring that his name remains a focal point of discussion and speculation within the 40k community. The long-term impact of Tuska Daemon-Killa's saga on the galaxy of the 40k universe is multifaceted, with consequences that ripple through various factions and systems in ways both predictable and unexpected. While Tuska himself remains locked in eternal battle within Khorne's domain, the echoes of his actions continue to influence the galaxy at large. The repercussions of his legend may unfold over millennia, shaping not only Orc behavior, but also the delicate balance of power across the cosmos. One significant effect is the potential for Tuska's story to serve as a catalyst for a new wave of Orc behavior, particularly among ambitious warlords seeking to carve their own legends. Tuska's journey into the warp represents a radical departure from the traditional Orc obsession with physical territory and tangible plunder. Instead, it frames glory not as a matter of what is taken, but as a matter of who is fought. This shift in perspective could inspire more Orcs to focus on challenging ever stronger enemies rather than engaging in conventional conquests. In the long run, this might lead to a new era of Orc activity, with more warbands deliberately targeting powerful factions or attempting to breach the Immaterium in search of demonic adversaries. For the galaxy at large, this evolving Orc behavior could have both positive and negative outcomes. On one hand, it might redirect Orc aggression away from more vulnerable civilizations and toward battles with Chaos forces, potentially weakening the influence of the Chaos gods in specific regions. On the other hand, it could intensify galactic instability as Orc warbands become increasingly unpredictable in their choice of targets and methods. The emergence of more warbands like Tuska's, capable of breaching the warp and engaging with demonic entities, could create new and unforeseen dangers for all factions. Another long-term consequence lies in the shifting dynamics of the warp itself. Tuska's warband, through their prolonged presence in Khorne's domain, has introduced an element of chaotic Orc energy into the Immaterium. Over time, this could alter the nature of Khorne's realm, creating a unique battlefield that reflects the Orcs' crude but effective approach to war. Such a development might influence how demonic forces operate, as the orcs' relentless belief in their own strength and purpose creates a persistent and disruptive presence within the warp. The possibility that other orcs might eventually join Tuska in Khorne's domain further complicates this dynamic, as the orc psyche could begin to assert a growing influence over this corner of the Immaterium. The Imperium of Man, already stretched thin by innumerable threats, faces its own challenges as a result of Tuska's legacy. The rise of Tuska-inspired warbands could lead to an increase in orc incursions into human territory, forcing the Imperium to allocate more resources to defending critical worlds and trade routes. At the same time, the heightened activity of orcs within the warp might draw Chaos forces away from Imperial space, providing a temporary reprieve from some of the most dangerous demonic incursions. This dual-edged outcome reflects the chaotic and unpredictable nature of the 40k universe, where even the most catastrophic events can produce moments of unexpected advantage. For Chaos, Tuska's story raises questions about the long-term sustainability of the Immaterium as a purely demonic domain. If orcs or other xeno species begin to penetrate the warp in greater numbers, it could challenge the traditional supremacy of the Chaos gods within their own realms. While Tuska's actions are currently confined to Khorne's domain, the precedent he set might encourage others to push deeper into the warp, creating new dynamics and conflicts within the Immaterium. Over millennia, this could lead to a transformation of the warp's very nature, as new influences and forces disrupt the status quo of Chaos dominance. The cultural significance of Tuska's tale within orc society cannot be overstated. His story has become a cornerstone of orc mythology, serving as a source of inspiration and identity for countless greenskins. This shared narrative strengthens the cohesion of orc warbands by providing them with a unifying legend, even as it encourages them to seek ever more dangerous and ambitious paths. Over time, this cultural shift could elevate orc society to new heights of coordination and ambition, making them an even greater threat to the galaxy. However, Tuska's legacy also carries inherent risks. The more orcs focus on emulating his journey, the more likely they are to push the boundaries of their capabilities, leading to potentially catastrophic consequences. The unpredictable nature of orc technology and their tendency to plunge headlong into danger without considering the ramifications could result in unintended disasters, such as the accidental creation of new warp rifts or the unleashing of demonic entities into the material realm. These unintended side effects could amplify the already volatile state of the galaxy, creating new challenges for all factions. In the grander scope of the 40k universe, Tuska Daemon-Killa's story serves as a microcosm of the themes that define the setting: the pursuit of glory, the consequences of ambition, and the delicate balance between order and chaos. His tale reminds us that even the most seemingly insignificant actors can leave a lasting mark on the galaxy, shaping the future in ways that are both profound and unpredictable. For better or worse, Tuska's legacy will continue to echo through the ages, a testament to the enduring power of determination, chaos, and the orc way of life.